John, for many years you come into us for help and choir. And at some time there was a whiskey bass, and sometimes we get 3 out of 4. And you were helping them get 4 out of 4, along with Ed. And I appreciate that, because I'm still getting home 3 out of 4. But I'm going to miss you, buddy. Have a good time. Thank you.
Up here comes Josiah.
John, what year did you graduate from Muskegon High?
1963.
That's what I thought. I arrived there in 1964 to teach, so I missed him. But I got his younger brother and I got his late beloved sister as pupils of mine at Muskegon Senior High. Go Big Reds!
Go Big Reds!
We're still playing. Yeah.
I'm about to call on Paul Winslow from Personnel Committee. Anybody else before Lorraine?
I want to share.
Yep, Randy. Whoops.
Make that out.
Most of the people who've shared are music gurus and music aficionados, so I probably shouldn't be speaking to John, because John is certainly that. But I've come to know John as a music aficionado also indirectly from people outside 4th Street. As you know, we post the worship service pieces on YouTube. And the most fun parts are looking at some of the comments. And of course, I probably should tell you that the YouTube posts they get by far the most views are John's fantastic performances on the organ. And they get the most comments. I was trying to find one from our friend Portentico Cristo, who posts in Portuguese and creates an interesting dilemma because I go to an English-Portuguese translation on Google and then I go back to John and says, he liked it again. This is what he said. But what I will do is I'll read a couple of them that I found. Don't lose them. Have them. There we go. On September 19th of 2010, I just grabbed one up because it had a lot of hits on it. This is a post to the Rigodon by Andre Compran. I can't see, I don't have the rest of the letters, that's all. I only have Andre C.A. on the display. That's had 899 views on YouTube, which is not too bad for 4th Street. We do pretty well there. You can listen to it. I won't do that, but I'll watch it. And then I go to the post. And nothing from our friend Portentico Cristo. Oh, sorry. Besides, my Portuguese is pretty bad. But Delico 81 says, and Delico 81 has posted several times. I think he likes them in general. A beautiful performance of a classic recessional on a stunning organ. A beautiful performance. Thank you, John. Chester Barnes, who actually at one point posted something and said, I think I'm going to come and hijack him and take him to my church. And John's comment was, how much? Chester Barnes once says, oh, Rigodon, how majestically played by this organist. Thank you for this beautiful postlude, sir. And I guess that's what I would say. Thank you for the many beautiful preludes, postludes, and hymns, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else before Paul comes up?
I just want to say one thing. You're talking about his music, but he's also swift of foot, running back and forth.
Swift of foot. Fleet up there in the Belvedere. I was looking for you this morning and I thought, oh, he's back again already. Okay, Paul, please. Do you want him up here?
Yes.
Got to come up now, John.
All right. Yeah.
John, there's not too much more I can say other than thank you, but I will say a couple of things. Yeah. On behalf of the congregation, it's been a good 15 years. I've enjoyed listening to you. I think we all have. And it's good to come in on weekdays when you're practicing too. We've enjoyed that. So on behalf of the congregation, we have this little gift we'd like to give you, and thank you for 15 terrific years. We'll let you say something now.
Oh, no, not yet.
No, he can't say anything yet. He has to stay there.
He has to stay now, but he can't tell me. Okay. John, I remember our first real conversation. Might have been the first time I met you, I'm not sure. I believe it was sitting in those two blue chairs back there. It was before I was your pastor, a couple of weeks before I was your pastor, when I said I wanted to speak to every staff member individually before I made a decision. And John said to me, being the absolute lifelong Presbyterian that he has always been, that I know you're coming as the head of staff, and this is kind of what I do, this is how I've been trained. If that does not fit with where you want to go with this church, I would be happy to give you a letter of resignation. I know that's how Presbyterian churches work, and I would be more than happy to resign. And John, I'm really glad you didn't. I'm really glad you stayed. I'm really glad to have had these 3+ years with you. Music can sink a pastor in their worship services, or it can kind of cover all the little things that kind of go wrong. And John was one of those that's able to cover the little things that goes wrong. Now, what most of you don't know, soon after I got here, we started having program staff meetings, and that meant that Judith and Ed and John and I would meet for lots of times, at least usually monthly, sometimes for an hour and a half, 2.5, one night it was 4, I think, planning worship services. And it was the really fun times were when everybody was building off of everyone's ideas. And somebody would have an idea, and someone said, yeah, and we can do this, and what about this? Well, I don't like that, but how about this? And we would do that. And John was always very, very much, the others were too, but I'm talking about John today. John was always very, very much a part of that. And I learned rather quickly that he really does have a sense of liturgy. And he really does have a sense of ritual. And he really does have a sense of worship. And not only does he know music, but he is able to give good ideas about the flow of things and what might fit where. And sometimes when I'd be struggling, say, I need a hymn that, I want a hymn that kind of says this, that fits in this place. Can you think of something? He would either give me something on the spot, or I'd get an email a day later with 4 possibilities. And so I really appreciated that, John. You have been creative and wonderful. You've had new ideas that helped us do some different things in worship. And I'm so glad you stayed. I'm so glad you didn't leave. There's something else I wanted to say to you. Another thing about John, and about others of the staff too, I would say about Ed, about Judith, about me, and about others, we are perfectionists. We absolutely start out to have an absolute perfect service. We want excellence. We want perfection. We want everything to be exactly the way it is supposed to be every moment from the time we begin until we end. We also are all very pragmatic. So we begin starting for excellence, and then as something happens on a Sunday morning, which often does at Fort Street, or something goes wrong, or the organ doesn't work, or the speakers don't work, or somebody didn't come, or there's some crisis or something, we're all pragmatic, and we know how to make it work. And sometimes I think it's because of our professionalism, but sometimes I think the Spirit gets in there somewhere, and at the end of the service we look at each other and go, we got through that, and it actually worked. And you know what? It kind of looked like we even had it planned the way it fell together. And we're going, wow. So I thank you for that. I thank you for the support you've been to me, the support you've been for this church and for our worship, and to try new things and not be afraid to try something different. And for just being a wonderful colleague and a consummate professional who's pragmatic and shoots for perfection, but makes it work no matter what happens. Thank you. And we'll give you a moment. And I do want to say to you that this is a nice little gift for you, but we also would like to be sure to have your address, because we'd like to send you a Christmas card a little bit later in December, if that'd be all right with you. So if you just make sure we have an address for you, that would be nice. So we will let you have a moment to.
Thank you. Well, I had asked him in the discussions about this event not to be asked to make remarks.
No, but he said I'll probably want to speak anyway.
I won't prolong this, but it's been a wonderful experience here, and that's attributable to colleagues and staff who have been extraordinary over the years, members of boards and worship and arts committees that have that have always been compatible and challenging at times. Wonderful congregation, wonderful organ. And if there's one thought that I would like to leave with you, it is that that wonderful organ is in some jeopardy at this point, and my hope is that there will be funds available somehow to restore it to the grandeur that was intended for that beautiful instrument. So, I didn't mean to end on a somber note, but at any rate, I will say thank you, and I'm very grateful for the experience that I've had here at Fort Street. And I don't intend to continue. I haven't retired, so there won't be any other church positions coming. So these will be the memories that I have of my life as a part-time church organist. Thank you very much.
And while this was the last planned Sunday that John will be playing for a Sunday morning, he will be playing for Messiah concerts this in the next time, in a few weeks, 3 weeks. So there'll be another opportunity for us to see John at that time. John, thank you for everything. Blessings on you. You've got some exciting things ahead, it sounds like, in Godspeed. And let us hear from you now and then. Thank you.